This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
Hello and welcome to the DailyFX Forum Highlights video for December 8th. Just scanning through the forums tonight here on the scalping and intraday trading thread, some posts by Brad 1199 that I want to highlight tonight. And first, a question that Brad's responding to. Hi Brad, I'm very new to Forex. Do you think the Aussie dollar long trade will work as the pair has touched the lower Bollinger Band? And Brad writes back that he's not really sure about the Aussie. Personally, I'd recommend leaving the Aussie alone. I think it's a bit blurred and not the best trade to take at the moment. And at the same time, he suggests a euro dollar trade. This is a trade similar to what I suggested during yesterday's report. I'll also highlight that as well. Very similar logic to my trade here, as prices are coming back on the opposite side of the former support line, which might now act as resistance. And we can see that Brad's stop is a little bit wider than mine, but again, I will update that in about a minute or so. So scrolling down the forum here, some more posts that I wanted to highlight. Again by Brad 1199. Here's his CAD trade that he mentioned, I believe, during last week, and now prices have actually reached the upper Bollinger Band, and he is entering here short at 106.40. And again, this is a sign of a great trader, just patience, waiting for the entry to present itself. You know, and that's the one thing about this market that I would suggest, is that the emotion that you're going to miss out on something has to be addressed, and it has to be eliminated. In my experience, this market will give you most of the time the good entry if you're patient and you wait for it. Now, that doesn't mean that the trade's going to work out in your favor, you know, not at all, but it means that most of the time prices will get to an area where you can enter. It's a good location to enter, and you shouldn't, when you're looking at trades, the one thing I always caution against is when you pull up a chart and you see a trade that you want to enter within that moment of looking at the chart. That's usually a good sign that you should wait, give it at least a few hours and probably another 24 hours to find the more favorable entry. And this is a great example of that here by Brad 1199. Again, this is a trade that he thought about last week, and now finally prices have reached the entry level. And again, my best trades are usually found at least a couple of days and a couple of hundred pips in advance. And scrolling down here, some more posts and some question here on the euro dollar trade by Big Pips to Sean. And Sean is mentioning that he has entered the pair right now. My entry is 148.55 and his stop is below the 100 SMA around 145-ish. And again, this is a great benefit of the forum. We have, you know, conflicting opinions, if you will, with the euro dollar, but Sean's a great trader, and obviously, you know, he knows what he's doing. So you know, anything can work out, and also both of us can make money. Obviously, maybe shorting the euro here on the opposite side of the trend line, we might cover for a few hundred pips, and then prices might rally from that point. So again, you know, there's the desire to be right is also another emotion that has to be eliminated as well. So right now I wanted to go ahead and pull up the charts and highlight the trade that I was speaking about yesterday. I mentioned that we would wait for prices to come up, and I did mention during the report that prices should actually come up and touch this line, but we could see that prices got within a few pips of it. Personally, I did enter near that 149 figure, and I'm in the trade right now, a little bit ahead right now, about 50 pips or so. But again, this is a longer term trade, and my stop is 50 pips above there, about the 149.50 area. The issue here is that this is a rising trend line, and then over the next few days, obviously the location of my stop is going to be closer and closer to this line, so I might adjust that, but I certainly will update you all on that. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something, you know, catches your interest. But but personally I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.